Buried alive in lies. How Menglong tried to escape before his death. The air was heavy, suffocating, almost as if the world itself was conspiring to silence him. Menglong, the beloved star who once lit up screens with his radiant smile and gentle voice, was walking into a darkness few could imagine. What fans never knew was that in the weeks before his tragic end, he was desperately trying to escape. Not from fame, not from love, but from a carefully woven web of lies, betrayal, and power so sinister that even his last cries were muffled by the hands of those who feared his truth. 3 weeks before his death, Menglong reportedly confided in a close friend that he felt trapped. The friend, who has now spoken anonymously, revealed. He told me, "I don't know who I can trust anymore. Every time I try to leave, they tighten the net around me. I thought he was just stressed. I didn't know it was a literal death sentence." That conversation, buried in secrecy until now, sheds light on the invisible chains binding him. The lies weren't just in tabloids or scandals, they were in contracts, deals, whispered threats, and people he once called family. Investigators later uncovered a chilling document, a hidden contract that tied Menglong to individuals linked with underground business elites. The contract forced him into silence. Silence about financial dealings. Silence about secret relationships. Silence about what he witnessed in the entertainment industry's darkest corners. It was this contract that made him say to another friend in a voice note, now leaked online, "I feel like I'm being buried alive. Every lie they tell becomes another shovel of dirt over me. I'm running out of air." Those words, once just metaphor, now echo as prophecy. What many fans don't know is that Menglong actually tried to run. On a cold evening, days before the tragedy, CCTV footage captured him entering a train station in disguise, hat pulled low, mask covering his face, luggage in hand. He didn't board the train. He didn't even make it past the ticket gate. A group of men intercepted him. Witnesses later described the chilling scene. He looked terrified. He kept glancing back, like someone was following him. Then suddenly, men in black suits surrounded him. They talked to him, quietly but firmly. Within minutes, he left with them. That footage was confiscated for months. Only fragments have surfaced, but they are enough to paint the horrifying truth. Menglong wanted freedom, but freedom was stolen. Enter Song Erin, the actress whose name exploded into the case weeks later. During her interrogation, she whispered a confession. "He begged me to go with him. He said if we stayed, we'd both be destroyed. I couldn't. I was too afraid. And that fear killed him." Her statement matches the timeline of his attempted escape. He wasn't just trying to flee contracts or career pressures. He was trying to save them both. But where she chose to stay, he chose to run. And that decision sealed his fate. The final hours were the most chilling. Prosecutors revealed that Menglong was lured to a hotel under the pretense of a private meeting. He was promised protection, a way out, a chance to renegotiate his freedom. Instead, the walls of that hotel room became his coffin. Leaked CCTV shows him pacing nervously in the lobby, checking his phone, sending a final desperate message. "If anything happens to me, remember I tried." That message was never delivered. His phone went dark minutes later. When he didn't show up the next morning for rehearsal, fans assumed he was exhausted. Friends assumed he was busy. But by then, Menglong was already gone, buried not under earth, but under layers of lies so suffocating, they killed his spirit before his body followed. The truth came out only after relentless digging, the hotel CCTV, the intercepted escape attempt, the contract that enslaved him, and the confessions of those too guilty to remain silent. At his funeral, Menglong's mother stood before thousands of mourners, clutching her son's framed photo. Her voice broke, but her words pierced every heart. He begged for help. He tried to run. But every path was blocked by lies. "They buried my son alive while he was still breathing. Tell me, who gave them the right?" The crowd wept with her. Some fainted. Others screamed his name until their throats bled. It wasn't just grief, it was rage. The revelations sparked one of the largest fan protests China has ever seen. Outside government buildings, thousands held candles, chanting.
He tried to escape.
They trapped him. Truth for Yumenglong. Justice now. Posters of Yumenglong, smiling, were plastered on walls like a saint martyred too soon. Hashtags exploded. Hashtag buried alive in lies. Hashtag Menglong escape. Hashtag justice for Yumenglong. International media picked it up. CNN called it the entertainment scandal of the decade. The BBC wrote, "A star silenced by lies too powerful to confront." Perhaps the most haunting discovery was his journal. Found weeks after his death, it contained page after page of scribbled fears, desperate prayers, and chilling lines. "If they find me, I'll never see the sunrise again. I trusted the wrong people. Now every smile hides a knife. When the truth comes out, let them know I fought to breathe." These words weren't just confessions. They were cries from a man already suffocating in a tomb of deception. And still, the names of those truly responsible remain hidden. Song Aaron hinted at them. His manager crumbled under interrogation. His journal alluded to figures in high places. But the who remains untouchable.
For now.
What is clear is this: Yumenglong's death wasn't an accident, nor a simple tragedy. It was the calculated silencing of a man who tried to break free from the chains of lies spun by elites who feared his truth. Though Yumenglong is gone, his story has become more than a scandal. It has become a revolution. Every new leak, every confession, every candle lit in his memory is a shovel digging through the dirt of lies that buried him alive. The question is no longer if the truth will be revealed. The question is when. Because the world now knows one thing with certainty. Yumenglong did not go quietly. He tried to escape. He fought to breathe. And his struggle will outlive the lies that killed him. The cold metal rails stretched endlessly under the pale fluorescent lights of the train station, humming with the low murmur of engines and the steady rhythm of hurried footsteps. Yet, amid the sea of passengers, one man stood out, not because he wanted to, but because he desperately didn't want to be seen. Yumenglong's hat was pulled low, his mask pressed tightly against his skin, and his trembling hands gripped the handle of a single suitcase. Inside it weren't just clothes, it was evidence. Evidence he believed could free him from the suffocating lies. A fan who happened to be at the station recalled later in an interview. He kept looking around. His eyes were restless, like he was searching for someone, or maybe running from someone. I almost called out his name, but something in me froze. He didn't look like the star I adored. He looked like a hunted man. This was no ordinary trip. For Yumenglong, this was his last gamble at freedom. He had told no one where he was going, not his family, not his co-stars, not even Song Aaron. But the suitcase contained flash drives, journals, and signed contracts. He was convinced that if he could get out of the city, even for a night, he could reach a trusted ally who promised him safety. As he approached the ticket counter, cameras caught him pulling his scarf higher to cover his face. He slid cash across the counter and whispered for a ticket to a small northern town, far away from Beijing's watchful eyes. The clerk nodded, handed him the ticket, and for a brief moment, his shoulders relaxed. But that moment never lasted. Minutes later, before he could even step toward the boarding gate, shadows appeared behind him. 3 men in dark suits, walking with quiet authority. Witnesses say they didn't touch him at first. They didn't need to. Their presence alone was enough. They came out of nowhere. I remember thinking they looked like bodyguards, but the way he froze, no, he wasn't safe with them, said a witness who later leaked the description. Yumenglong's eyes darted toward the exit. He took one hesitant step back. The men surrounded him like wolves circling prey. One leaned close, whispering something in his ear. Cameras captured you stiffening, his suitcase slipping slightly from his grip. He shook his head violently, his lips forming the words,
"No,
I won't." But resistance was futile. Within minutes, he was walking with them, flanked on all sides, his once hopeful escape crushed under the weight of invisible chains. The suitcase never left his hand. And that suitcase became the most chilling symbol of his final fight. Investigators later discovered it abandoned in a storage locker at the station. Inside, They found pages upon pages of handwritten notes. One entry, scrawled in shaky ink, read, "If you find this, know I tried. I tried to escape, but they were faster." Another note, tucked between documents, said, "Don't trust the ones in suits. They belong to them." Those words, now infamous among fans, proved beyond doubt that Menglong knew exactly who was after him. And still he dared to fight. One haunting CCTV clip from that night has gone viral. Menglong, standing at the ticket barrier, glancing back one last time. His eyes, filled with both fear and fire, seemed to plead silently with the world. "Help me." But no one did. Song Erin's testimony added another chilling layer. Through tears, she admitted, "He begged me to leave with him. He said he had everything ready. He said if I stayed, I'd be next. I told him I couldn't. I didn't believe they would really kill him. And that's how I lost him." Her confession shattered fans. They realized he wasn't just trying to save himself, he was trying to save her, too. The tragedy is that even as he stood in that crowded station, surrounded by ordinary people and cameras, he was completely alone. The lies that bound him had stretched their claws into every corner of his life. He couldn't call for help. He couldn't run. Every exit was sealed before he even tried. One fan wrote online after seeing the footage, "Imagine being in a crowd of hundreds and still knowing you are alone." That's what they did to him. They buried him alive in plain sight. And perhaps the cruelest twist, yumenglong's suitcase was not the only thing taken from him that night. When police later reviewed phone logs, they discovered his last outgoing message, sent seconds before his phone was shut off.
It read,
At the station, "If I don't come back, remember me not as a coward, but as someone who fought." That message was never delivered. His phone was wiped clean. The continuation of this escape attempt has ignited fury among fans. Hashtags like #Menglong tried to run and #Justice for Yumenglong trend daily. Artists have painted murals of him holding a suitcase, looking back over his shoulder, symbolizing his unfinished journey. But beyond the heartbreak, the station incident raises terrifying questions. Who tipped off his pursuers? How did they know he was there at that exact time? Was it someone within his inner circle, or someone much higher, pulling strings? Those questions remain unanswered, buried in sealed files the public may never see. Yet, the train station remains a sacred place for his fans. People now travel there not to board trains, but to lay flowers at the entrance, whispering his name into the cold night air. Some leave candles. Others leave handwritten notes that echo his final plea. We remember. One witness, who claims to have seen the men escort Menglong away, still can't shake the memory. He turned his head, just for a second, and his eyes met mine. It was like he was asking me to do something, anything. I froze. I did nothing. And I'll never forgive myself. It's a chilling reminder of how one man's desperate attempt for freedom became a tragedy in full public view. The train never left with Menglong aboard. But in a way, he boarded another journey that night, a journey into history, memory, and a fight for truth that refuses to die. Because even though he never made it past the ticket gate, the world now knows this. Menglong fought. He tried to escape. And his story is the flame his enemies can never extinguish.